West Ascension Consolidated Garbage Drainage District is called to order on Thursday, November 5th, 2015. Roll call. I'm sorry. Invocation. Mr. Shakes and I.
Dear Lord, we want to thank you for all the good things you've given us, the people of Ascension Parish. We've been blessed, and we realize that in this time of elections, we want to encourage everyone to go out and vote for the candidate of your choice. We'd like to thank you for allowing us to come through these latest rain events and storms without any major damage, and to continue to give us blessings for the rest of this year as we go into the holidays. We ask all this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. So with that, roll call. Mr. Anderson is not here.
He's attending a funeral.
And we want to add, I hope he's doing better. He went through a little spell of sickness, and we wish him well. He looks like he's doing very well.
Yep.
We're glad.
Good. Everyone else, accepting the minutes for October the 1st, 2015.
So moved.
I second that. Minutes accepted. Item number 4, Carroll Street, myself, we got a quote on the, doing that, and that's where we want to put the bigger cover at the end of Carroll Street. The only thing we're working with the landowners to get an estimate of what it was going to cost us to clean out that fence line, remove the fence, and it looked like it's going to be under $1,000. So we will move forward with that, with putting the work request into.
We need to make a motion on that. We don't need a motion on that.
There's purchase and
That's just the work on
Yeah.
in the budget.
So Carroll Street is moving forward. So moving on to item number 5, Lemonville Cutoff Bridge, the box covered. Ms. Kimbrough.
Yes, the
Mr.
box
Shakespeare.
culverts will be delivered Thanksgiving week. It's expected to be delivered Thanksgiving week.
That's for the bridge.
And I've met with the jail and kind of discussed some, routes for emergencies. So we're good there. They asked for a 2-week notice before we start the project, just to kind of put their people in place and put everybody on alert, and they're good to go. Spoke to Chuck Montero as well, the fire station. So we're good there.
I'd like to discuss, after the last rain event, we found that the culvert that crosses the same road coming from St. Jude, which is the only drainage coming out of St. Jude, it was stopped up again. And it's been about the 3rd time it got stopped up in a rain event. And we caught it, but the water was within 2 inches of a number of houses. And some DPW workers went out there at night and cleaned it out with an excavator, and so it went down. And so I think we're playing with fire with the existing culvert, even though it says it should be able to handle enough water. That's without any debris coming in there. Since it's near a wooded area and all, I'd like to propose that we put a box culvert in there, about a 48-inch box culvert, so that it doesn't get stopped up with debris in these rain events.
Okay, I'll start working with engineering on it.
Let's just move forward as quickly as possible.
Okay. Well, I can agree with Mr. Shakespeare on that. We've been having a problem, and I guess that is the problem why some of them houses, the water's backing up in that area all the time. So
There's a couple things. We went out there that night, that Sunday night. The improvements we did in the front area worked wonderful. Mr. Webber wanted to thank for the culvert there. We did what was intended. The new culverts under the road, the front of the subdivision was able to drain. We did find that there was some water coming from the CF side, and we spoke with them, and Mr. Fry is getting some people to change some of the culverts out there and keep the water on that side. And so they said they'd take care of that. And then the only problem we had was in the backside. If we take care of the culvert, and we have 2 lots over there, spoke to one homeowner and trying to speak to the other one. They said they would like to see a swale ditch so that when the water gets to a certain level, it can go over and go into the ditch. The problem they have is there's culverts in the back with a catch basin, and the leaves get caught up in that and they stop draining. And you go rake them out, and it drains for 15, 20 minutes, and it stops up again. And so it's just too close for comfort.
Okay. All right. Moving on to item number 6, St. James Assumption Drainage Update. Ms. Bro,
Going to yield to Mr. Malbrough. Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah, Mr. St. James.
Nothing, no change.
No change. Okay,
We're still waiting for.
Still waiting.
okay. I know I rode on 3127 about 2 weeks ago, and I see some equipment that's going some of the buyers in like St. John and in that area on the far end of it. I don't know if that had working coming this way or no one said anything.
No, sir.
Okay.
They're not working on the major body.
Okay, moving to item number 7, Bayou Lafourche Freshwater District. Mr. Ben.
Thank y'all. I'll be
Right.
very brief as directed. Just a few update on some of the things we're going on. Obviously, we have our Phase 2 dredging project going from Belrose down to Napoleonville. That project is going very well. We're well above schedule. We're projected to be complete sometime next summer, hopefully by July, August. The other project we have going on that you all obviously see a lot of is the sediment trap dredging. That project is about 55% complete. As you know, you guys are getting the material from there, about 24,000 cubic yards in total. Nothing major to report there. We had a little water line incident a couple weeks ago, but that's been resolved. And if y'all got any questions regarding these, just stop me. The third thing is the Donaldsonville Drainage Project that we presented to you all in the city of Donaldsonville a year or 2 ago. We did not get a line of credit this past session in the last capital outlay bill. Obviously, we reapplied, so we'll be in the queue for this session. We did have 415,000 in priority 5. So in addition to the 315 we had in priority 1, and our cost share, that should be enough to at least take care of the pump station on the north side of the railroad. So we'll be meeting with both Mr. Scheck, y'all name tags are flip-flops, so it's throwing me off. Mr. Scheck-Snyder and Mr. Oliver on Monday, so I'll present that plan to y'all since we'll be together already and get some feedback from you where we are now. We had to modify the original design. You know, originally we had talked about putting pump stations at Claiborne, north of the railroad and south of the railroad, but with this amount of funding, we switched our focus to strictly on the north side of the railroad and on the south side of the railroad, which I think will alleviate a lot of the pressure from the St. Patrick Street back flooding and the water getting up on to 308, adjacent to Bayou Lafourche. And then the last thing, I'm glad Parish President Martinez is here. The Union Pacific Railroad Bridge is probably the most exciting thing we have going on. I don't know if you all read it in the newspaper, but we did get a commitment from UP with the help of funds from CPRA. In addition to our dredging project, CPRA allocated an additional $2.5 million to cover half of the construction of the railroad bridge right here over the bayou. So that project being funded with CAP funds has to be completed and in place by December 31st of 2016. So that project is on schedule, and they're estimating that construction could be complete as early as the end of September of 2016. So it's going to be a 5-span bridge. You know, one of the big concerns we had initially, and that's what we just got off the phone discussing, was the original bridge that was filled in had the turnstile on the western side of the channel. So we located that. They did some ground penetrating radar a month or so ago. So in the next couple of weeks, we'll have crews out there directional drilling through the embankment to try to get a more comfortable feeling of where that turnstile actually is. But there's nothing, it's just to really take a little more concern off of them as far as the span, one of the spans. So it's going to be 5 spans. One of them right now is projected to be 75 feet. They would rather get that down to 65 feet as part of their normal standard bridges. So they're going to actually go out there and directionally bore through the embankment. That's the plan now, to reassure that the turnstile doesn't stick out further than they expect it to. So that's a real fast-paced project. Originally, we had signed that agreement. We visited Omaha in September of last year. It took us about three months to negotiate an agreement to do the 30% design, okay? So we initiated that. At that point, we were talking about doing a bypass bridge, and either making that the permanent route or destroying that, either making that a temporary bypass and fixing the existing track, or eliminating the existing track and making the bypass the permanent realignment. Probably 2 months into the design, the railroad contacted us after we had pitched the idea of possibly being able to secure some additional CAP funds to fund the project wholly. And they came up with a new design to build it in place for about 1/3 of the cost. So that's what we're working on now. So it'll be a 5-span bridge built in place. The track will be shut down in very small windows, and they're going to excavate the embankment out afterwards. So we're really excited. I know everybody who's been involved with that project from the beginning. Even the first time I met with Parish President Martinez, the first thing he said was, "You're not going to do anything until you remove the bridge." So, you know, we're excited to see that's coming. So, and we couldn't do it without CPRA. Of course, the Freshwater District's putting up $2.5 million of its own money to get it done. But the board recognized the importance of getting that taken care of. So that's something we're really excited about. So. And then other than that, unless you guys got any questions, we had on Monday we'll go out, take a look at the issue up at Mr. Bradford's property to see if we can get that taken care of and wipe that off of the books, and that's it.
One question, the water line across in that area where you're going to you're going to constantly dredge that area in the future too, right?
Sediment trap. You talking about the sediment trap?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I mean, you said you corrected the problem, or that line that we're going to hit again in the future? Or?
Well, we mitigated it for now, and we closed it off. It's part of a loop system. People's Water is not having any issues. I understand that the parish is going to be taking over, or maybe taking over that. The issue is the line was marked in the wrong spot. It was about 30 feet off from where they marked it. And when we first met with People's Water immediately following the incident, they showed us the drawing that they marked it with. And after further investigation, we figured out that they used the wrong drawing. They showed the drawing that they originally presented, which we believe they marked the line off of, showed the line went straight across the bayou where it actually didn't. It 90'd at both of the valves on each side of the bayou. It 90'd north about 30 feet and then crossed the bayou. So we don't think the line would have been hit had it been marked properly. So I mean, we'll obviously have to address that. There was some talks of possibly moving it, going aerial with it, with the railroad bridge. That would obviously have to be a discussion with the railroad. I can't say what they're gonna say. I just would think that they would not be really in favor of that because of maintenance, having to get up on their rail and their tracks and.
All right. Mr. Pray?
Once the bridge is built, will you be able to open up the full capacity?
Yeah, oh, certainly. So we've, the bridge, the bridge span has, we've modeled it at 2,000 CFS. Our current capacity is 400.
Right.
There's no head loss across the bridge at 2,000 CFS. So, you know, the overall reintroduction of Bayou Lafourche plan is to go to 1,000 with the possible expansion to 1,500, okay? Currently our capacity is 400. Of course, we can only pump at 300, 3 to 350. So obviously after the bridge is complete, at 2,000 they show no head loss. So at current capacity, they won't even notice the bridge.
Mr. Pray?
The other thing that Parish is looking at buying peoples in the process. What's the water that goes to people come from the Bayou side?
Correct.
And they pay up for that.
Yes.
So once we take it over, we won't have to pay anything.
No. You pay a very, very, very cheap rate for the water.
He get a break, huh, Fred? Mr. Shakes, now you got any question?
Yeah, just some observations. Yeah, looking forward, Monday, Ben, we had some issues at the top of Bayou Lafourche with homeowner, and that's good that you addressing it. We had asked to, and we appreciate you meeting that head on. Hopefully we can solve that problem. I'm just to kind of go a little further, this is something that I didn't expect to happen in my lifetime. And I'll be honest with you. Looking into it, we was told many, many, many times that this is a pipe dream, and we kept pushing it. And then until you came aboard, you know, we really appreciate the effort, because I've seen the effort that you put into it, and you didn't quit. And to get this from the railroad is just really something, because nothing else can really be done down the bayou until this happens.
Absolutely.
And I know the people down the bayou are waiting for some more water, and we certainly would be glad to give it to them, but we're not going to do that to sacrifice people in Donaldsonville with their flooding problem. So hopefully, I'm just looking at what's the chances of, this session of getting more monies for the pump, you know, the drainage.
I'm optimistic. Of course, you know, there's going to be a new governor.
Yeah.
So the process that's going through and that everybody's kind of learned over the last 8 years is going to be kind of shooken up a little bit. But, you know, being in priority 5 last year for 450,000, we already have 315 through capital outlay cash in hand.
And how much are we looking for total?
The total price tag is 1.4 million.
Okay.
So, but the freshwater district is putting up the whole 25% match. So
Okay.
it's about 365,000. Now we are committed to put up that whole match in the beginning. You know, the board has recognized this problem, and like most of the other things, would like to just address it and get it taken care of. So we have obligated all of our cost sharing to the project up front, you know, with the hopes that the remaining funds come through the capital outlay process when they do.
So
I
that
mean,
you can get
unfortunately,
started with the project.
what's that?
So you want to get started with the
As
project.
fast as we can.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, with our cost share amount and the cash we have on hand, it's not enough to do either or.
Right.
So,
But
I
it's
mean,
gonna
we
be
could
a
go
while
start doing
before-
site work, but it doesn't make
It's going to
sense.
be a while before you can do the project anyway, so you do all the preparation, is what you're saying?
Right.
Okay.
So we are at a point now where we are probably 75% complete with the design that we have. Okay, now we had to tweak it from what we originally presented to the city and you all, because when we got into it, started doing borings, looked at the drainage areas we're working with, the project costs got out of control fast with the 3 pump stations we had originally looked at. Also, we had talked about setting it up to where we can have backup pumping capacity in the case of electric outages and everything else. So all these things made the price tag go higher and higher. So we were looking at ways to modify the project to still reach our goals, but to reduce the construction costs as much as we can. Now, keep in mind, all this happened before we knew the railroad bridge was going to be removed. So that may change some things. But as of now, and we've gotten commitments, we're paying, we're moving forward. The bridge as of right now is set to be constructed before the end of 2016. But as you have seen historically, I'm not getting overly excited until it's there.
When they start pile driving,
That's
I'll be
right.
excited.
So,
but that is
we're moving
significant.
forward. The project that we have on hand for the Donaldsonville drainage area is functional with or without the railroad bridge.
Right. Now, and even if the pumps don't work, you can open up the gates and it would be just like it has been in the past. So
Exactly.
It's not something that you can lose.
The design that we have puts the drainage system in no worse shape
Right.
than it is today.
Okay.
Correct.
Now, the other thing is, once we do this at the headwaters, the next step, and then the dredging, which is how much complete now, the dredging down Bell Road?
We are about 45% complete.
Okay, so by middle of next year?
July, August, that project will be complete.
So when that's complete, the water will be clear down to Thibodeau, and then what's the next step to
No, the water will be clear down to Napoleonville. Well, I mean, it'll be,
Okay.
for all practical purposes, the bayou is not as constricted anymore.
Okay.
Now, the channel cross-section is not as big as it needs to be from Napoleonville to Thibodeau. So where there's phase 2 dredging, phase 2 is only 8.3 miles from Belrose to Napoleonville. Okay? The remaining dredging has to be done from Napoleonville to Thibodeau. Okay? So once the railroad bridge is taken care of, the only remaining components of the reintroduction project we have is expanding the capacity of the pump station, or a new pump station, and dredging from Napoleonville to Thibodeau and taking the weir out.
Okay, well, that makes sense. And then once that happens, then it's a whole new ballgame.
That's correct.
Well, that's nothing but.
And then
good
I got to
news.
find a new job.
That's nothing but good news. If you pull that off, you can get plenty of jobs.
There you go.
We appreciate everything, and it's good news for the people in Ascension Parish, good news in Assumption, all the way down to the Foods. I know everybody appreciates that. That's a big thing, so we appreciate it.
All right, no more questions? Ben, we really appreciate it. Thanks for
y'all.
all the good news. All right, see you
See
Monday.
y'all Monday.
All right. Okay, moving to item number 8, report, Ms. Kim Bro.
Okay, Craig is out, hour, so I'm gonna handle kind of both of our reports together. Following up on the sediment project, we have hauled over 900 loads of sediment out of that. As you know, it's stored throughout the parish on the West Bank. That's been pretty much our number one priority, is moving that. When it dries, we're trying to get it out so they can continue to dredge. So that kind of slows us down sometimes on some grass cutting, because we need to concentrate on moving dirt while it's drying out. Then we go right back to our regular maintenance projects that we're working on. But that's been a big key item. Also, the culvert at St. Jude, by Mr. Weber's house, Councilman Shake Snyder, we're gonna dress that up as soon as it dries out.
Yeah.
We just, some of those areas still need to be
been
dressed
raining.
up. Yeah, it's gonna be raining a little bit. And as you stated, they replaced the culverts on St. Jude Road too as well. We're looking at the area of the ditch behind St. Jude that you had discussed. We had the inmates clean that, go back by hand. Craig's gonna talk to some landowners about getting access to that due to some fencing where we can get in and that's about it.
One question, I like when you said you got a lot of coverage blowing up. The truck been broke for a while. And, I've been getting phone calls, the city been also asking some, but we only have that one truck is in the shop right now, shared among both sides of the river, and I'm just asking the public to be patient with it too. You know,
Both of them are down.
both of them. So, you know, that's a problem right there. So, just asking the public, just be patient with some of this. We know we need to clean them out, blow them out. But, the trucks are broke right now, and, as soon as they get online, we'll get back on schedule with that.
That is correct. Also, just kind of FYI, I think we not talked about it, Craig and I talked about it the other day. When it rains, of course, we ride, you know, and check out culverts slow in areas that slow. You know, just that the public would remember when they cut the grass, just kind of, you know, blow it away from their culverts, because that helps us tremendously. You know, just a little bit of their time would help us a lot.
All right, and, got one more question. Can you give us an update on that public work building? When we gonna be,
Public Works Building, we are shooting
see,
for
Parish
a ribbon
President, he
cutting.
keep on showing that finger over there cutting the ribbon.
We have a target date for the first Thursday in December to cut the ribbon.
All right, sound good. Okay, Mr. Shakespeare, any more questions?
No, that's it.
All right, well, Ms. Peggy, we looking at next date, December
Third.
3rd? All right, 5:15. Mr. Prez, you got any last comment or anything? No? No? All right.
Move to adjourn.
Second, meeting adjourned. All right.